Happy St. Patrick's Day. We got the green on, and because of that, the luck of the Irish was on me this weekend, and I was able to break a man's slice. Let's all talk about that next. Welcome back to the Golf Shop. Jim McClear here, and this is What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Why What's in My Drawers? Because old club makers and club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and I'm no different. It's about what's in my drawers in the shop. This is where we talk about golf club repairs, golf club reviews, and golf club fittings, all so your scores can go low. I'm going to get to it, guys and gals. Look at here. If you would, like, subscribe, hit that stuff across the bottom. That way this gets out to the YouTube universe. All righty. One last thing. I do have another channel. It's called Pars and Pours. If you would, if you like the whiskey golf thing, please join me over there. The subscribership is starting to climb. Okay, so number one, happy St. Patrick's Day. Yes, I know it's tomorrow, but we're not talking tomorrow. We're talking today. So I brought out some old school. Look at that. Old school McGolf green. My only green golf shirt, the green background. We are having at it. The best part about St. Patrick's Day is that everybody's Irish on that day. So very cool. All righty. Let me look up one more thing for you guys. No, I didn't do it. Okay. So congratulations, Cameron Young. Apparently he wanted it more than everybody else. Last 3 or 4 holes, he was just playing lights out. Good on him. And I mean, who hits a 375-yard drive? I mean, come on. And it looked like it had eyes. It was the drive was just basically this. It followed the shot shape of the fairway. It was just basically a perfect drive. And I mean, that's gotta tighten your sphincter just a little bit if you're the guy that's playing against him. So yeah, good on him. He's got a win under his belt now. Let's see if he can take that and explode. All righty. So we did do some barbecuing, and I did put a pork loin on, and I would show it to you, but I don't have it. So we're going to do a second best thing. My son's birthday is at the end of the month. Mine is at the beginning of the month. And so what we typically do is we split it down the middle. We meet somewhere for dinner. And this time we went to what's called Middle West Spirits. It's a small distillery. It's much like a brew pub where that you can see them making the beers and whatnot. Same thing here, but from a whiskey format, and they do a lot of contract distilling. The menu was really quite neat. It had a hamburger, had a pizza, and had some other fancier dishes. And we asked 2 or 3 of the people that were there what was the thing to come for, and he says the hamburger was the best thing that they ever had. Like, oh, all right. So with my son there, of course, he got hearing all that, he's not going to fall in line. And says that he got the beaded pierogies, meaning that the shell of the pierogi was made out of with beets, and it was all pink. So it was delicious. Robin got the hamburger, and I got this. There's chicken Davito, or I can't even say it. Anyway, basically it's lobster risotto, some nice fried chicken, and then a sort of a fancy broccoli that lots of garlic and lots of oil, and it was really quite tasty. So the missus and I split it down the middle, and it was a good hamburger. It really was. But that meal was something else. Okay. And I did get to taste some of the whiskeys, and that turned out to be a pretty good thing as well. All right. So did quite a bit in the way of repairs. Built a couple handful, about 3 or 4 drivers. In fact, just before getting on here, I pulled a shaft on a TaylorMade Sim, I think it's Sim 2, and it had a shaft sticking out of it about that far, of course, and got it heated up and got a shaft in there drying on it now. That was a unique experience, but we're ready. We got it going on, and we're doing fine. One of the bigger builds was a set of irons for a local golfer, and it was Mizuno HM Pros. All right, Mizuno HM Pros fits. That's that golf club that's under the bell curve. It does. It fits a lot of folks. And this will lead me into my other topic. Once you can find the right length and whatnot, you can find out that you really probably don't need a whole bunch of offset. Sometimes you do. I'm going to say in the relative term. So what do we put in it? We put in those were Modus 115s in the R Flex. And what we did for that one, we made these half an inch taller and a couple degrees upright to make up for it. And then we slid on some mid-size Golf Pride wrap grips from the CP2 line. These were completely sticky when I put them on. A little different animal. I do like the tack. Because they're so tacky, I don't believe that they would stay that tacky unless you clean them off. But initially it's a real good feel. And then there's just another look at it. I was able to build these things with leaving the plastic on, and then kind of an overall view of what it looks like. So pretty nice. It's a pretty nice build. We had a few of those going on. Did some fittings this weekend. This is going to bring me into the topic of busting the slice. So I had a left-hander come in here, and he said, and I asked him what he wants to do. And he said he wants to get rid of his slice. Okay, get rid of his slice. I said, the slice all the time? He says, nothing but. I'm like, oh, well, okay. Let's see what that's all about. So I look at his golf clubs, and he has got what I call golf in a box. I'm itching something here. Okay. He's got golf in a box. Basically, he goes to Dick's Sporting Goods, finds a set of golf clubs, got a driver, fairway, hybrid, irons, maybe a wedge and a putter, all in a bag. Just pull it out of the box, and you're on your way, right? Throw some tees and some golf balls, and you're golfing. That's what he did, and that's fine. If you're golfing once a month or once in a blue moon, then that's fine, right? You're not there to be competitive or beat your last score or any of that stuff. You're just out there having fun. Well, now he's getting towards the end of his career, or he's decided that, you know what, I think I'm going to try and pick up some more golf. So he started playing a little more, and then started seeing some problems. And we measured some, and we found out was his equipment was contributing to the slice. Okay, and that's going to be the theme here. The equipment can contribute to the slice, and when you're making swing adjustments to do that, 99 times out of 100, you're making the wrong adjustment, because golf is a tremendous game of opposites. So, when you hit it and you hit it away from you, you go, oh, I just need to aim more the other way. And then that way it'll be better, and I'll hit it straighter. Well, no, what normally happens is that you pull it off to the side and you hit a bigger slice, and it just finds its way into the same spot. So I use the analogy of a pitcher. And when a pitcher wants to throw a small curve, and you throw it right here, you're just almost over the top. But you want to throw a big curve, you're throwing it out here, right? And you throw it away. And so that's the bigger curve, but you're still throwing it out there, right? And you go, yeah, but it still goes to the same spot. There it is, right? So whether you turn a little bit and it makes a curve, or you turn a lot of it and it makes a bigger curve, same spot. When in reality, you should have aimed where that ball went in order to swing that direction to try and make it curve the other way. Okay, we got that. That's path. And then the last bit of it is when we, okay, here we go. So normally what I see a lot of when we go out there and do it, that when a person finishes their swing, I see this. They finish with the club looking like this, like they've swung, and the face is parallel to the ground, and they're like, look, I drove it, and that face is looking at the fairway like that. All right, so you've swung around, and you've come around, and it goes vroom, and it comes up, and it just stops just like that. All right, so I call it trying to drive the ball, or steer the ball for that matter. And so what happens is when you bring this thing, so if we're going this way and you bring it back and you swing up and it stays like this, when you come back, that's how you hit it. All right, wide open. So again, another baseball analogy. if you have a ball and you're throwing a ball, the ball goes wherever your fingers go, regardless of where you want it to go yourself. So where that goes, toe, meet fingers. So if you come through and the club is facing up when you swing instead of like this, now when you come back, you're more squared away. And so now how do you do that? Much different ways. I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of tests. This is cause and effect stuff, not teaching. Okay. So when we get to that point, now we got to figure out how to close the club face. Sometimes it's with offset, sometimes it's with a stronger grip, sometimes it's with a softer shaft. Sometimes it's making a better turn, allowing your hands to turn over. A lot of different things go on. And normally that's when I see the crack in the statue of the golfer, right? When they go, oh my God, I'm doing something different. And we are all guilty of that definition of insanity, of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Because when we do that something different and it does do what we want it to do, it feels so foreign, it almost comes away as being wrong. And so you got to make a big deal out of, wow, that was really great. That's what we were looking for. Awesome. You really build them up, and now do it again. Because you got to build that muscle memory back in. Otherwise, you go right back to doing it because why? It's more comfy. Okay. We don't want comfy. We want correct, because eventually correct becomes comfy. Okay. So what do we do for this fellow? This fellow was about, I'm going to say he was easily 4 to 6 inches shorter than me. I'm 6 foot tall. All right. So he's playing around with standard length clubs, and I've noticed that he was kind of choking down a little bit. I said, no more choking down. And we found out that he really needed a club that was about 1 inch short. All right. Had a little bit longer arms, had a little shorter stature, had a really good posture and a good turn. He just couldn't bring the stick around with a square face. As soon as they gave him the shorter club, he squared it up, and all of a sudden he started releasing naturally. He started doing that part on his own, and you're like, wow, what was happening there? And he says, I'm just so comfy, it's not even funny. I'm like, oh, okay. So let's just stay with that philosophy. And I had him hit at least a half a dozen golf balls just doing that. Everything started coming to his inside, right? Now being a left-hander, it's going to be to the right. Just everything to the inside, boom, 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 boom. And he's looking at me, and I said, well, this doesn't look much like a slice. He goes, nope, but, okay, now wait till we get to the driver. No problem. And so what we've had to do is we just tightened his grip up just a little bit. We shortened up the clubs a bit. We made the clubs, he was golfing, because this golf in a box is all about being sturdy. So we found that all his golf clubs were playing at an X-Flex level. So the club would never respond to him turning because he was a smoother golfer. And so we got all these things down. We got the weight down. We got the loft and the liars right. We got the length right. All of a sudden, he's swinging this thing like he's been playing golf for a long time. And his quality of hit went skyrocketing. Now we're having fun, right? So now we get to the driver. Nemesis club, right? Everybody's nemesis club. They have it hard to turn around. All right, Charlie, for you, buddy, what this is there's only 2 Irish guys in bourbon I could figure out. One of them is Henry McKenna. That's on the label. The other one was called Town Branch, which is it's a distillery that was purchased by an Irishman, a doctor of sorts, and he was big with yeast and the stuff. They use a beer maker for most of it, and then ended up turning into a distillery in the early 2010s. So there you go. Salute, sir. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Cilantro. Okay, so back to it. So now we're going back to the driver. So again, I start with short. We come up a couple of shafts. So we're right around 44 inches, which is 1.5 inches shorter. Boom. He is hitting it straight as an arrow. And I tell him how far he's hitting, and he looks back at me and he says, that's about 15 to 20 yards further than he's hit it before. Well, that's a bonus. So straight and longer, we're done. Here, take this club home with you. So we find a club for him to that he likes. Turned out it was a Quantum, and he's good to go. So to kind of show you, I can jabber this all day long, but this is his shot. So if you look, I don't know if you can see my, do you see my cursor on here? But the middle of this thing is right there, right? Is right there, is right down the middle. And if you look, the preponderance of all his shots are to the inside or to the bottom of the screen. And keep in mind, a left-hander. And we only had a couple get to the 10 yards to the left. So all in all, not too bad. Of course, he didn't hit some of them great, but that's what we were looking at. So he got out there with the Max D, and he also had another Quantum. I let him hit the triple diamond, and he actually hit that one pretty good as well. We were doing so well. The key here, and what really helped us out, is if you look down at the bottom to the left of this, you see a bunch of short ones. Those are wedges, and his wedge game was awful. And what we were looking at here on the left-hand side, and then not that his wedge game was awful per se, but the way that he approached it. And once we worked that part out, he was able to manage to get the club face closed, and all of a sudden it just started translating all the way up. So when they tell you it can't help, it's a bunch of crap. Will it fix every slice? No, not necessarily, because if you keep cutting across it so hard, there's only just so much that the equipment can do. But if you're doing a good fitting and the fitter's worth their salt, you can tell, they can have a discussion on why it's happening and probably give some recommendations to help minimize it, right? Because you probably won't cure it if it's a really bad one. But you can get it down to where they're in play and let them work and give them some things to work on. And that's the reason why, in my opinion, that the fitter needs to know a little bit about the swing as well as the golf clubs and what makes them do what they do. Okay, so there you go. So I can say it wasn't clickbait. I really did break this guy's slice. and he's happier for it. We got a driver, a putter. What else do we get? A wedge? And we got a wedge. He's keeping the irons because they weren't that bad. But although I imagine that's coming pretty quick because he was literally hitting them a club and a half, almost 15 yards further. So there we go. Okay. Let's get into it and see what we got. All right, very top. Oh, looky here. Matt's on. Look at that. Got 2 9-hole rounds last week forward to my trip to Waverly this Friday. How much can club lofts and lies be changed in typical? Oh, how much can they change with typical usage? That's a good one. So, okay, we got 2 categories. Number 1, we have cast, and number 2, we have forged. Then within those categories, are you playing a lot or are you playing a little? All right, and what I mean by a lot is maybe 2 to 3 times a week. That's a lot. All right, a little, maybe once a week. Okay, and so if you're playing cast clubs and you're playing them once a week, chances are you could probably go well over a year, maybe 2, before something really dynamic changes. Now, if you have some super soft cast clubs, that's another story. You might have to check them a little bit earlier than that. And you'll notice a couple of things. Your directional control won't be there, or your distance control won't be there. And then that's really time to check. Now, if you're playing a lot, it's basically the same thing. I go about a year to a year and a half as opposed to a year and a half to 2. Okay. Now, forged, we all know forged is soft. So you got, 8620, was it 117 or 1720? So very, very soft metals, right? And so if you're even playing like once a week and you're playing in conditions that are hard, right? You taking divots bounce you out, or you're in, or you're really chopping wood with them or something along that lines. I would say no less than a year. Okay. And go from there. Now, if you're playing a lot with a forged club, let's just say Mizuno blade, a Wilson cavity back, the one-piece stuff, Srixon irons, those types of things, and you're playing a lot, say a couple times a week, and you're really playing, now you're a person that's very, very serious also. And I would say that you probably want to have that checked about once every 6 to 8 months. All right. And this is because you're playing at a different level, most likely, than most folks are. And you're going to want to have them checked. All right. Good question, Matt. All right. How many wedges do you really need? I seem to gravitate towards my 52 and 56 degree wedges. Raymond, it's truly personal. But what I will say is this. In most cases, and we'll say most, the way that the length of the loft of the irons have gotten so strong that it's becoming imperative to have a pitching wedge and an A wedge, a gap wedge, or an attack wedge or approach wedge, whatever you want, to take up that around that 50 to 52, like you're showing right there. And those I like to be as part of the set. Those will be full swing clubs, so take advantage of all the forgiveness that they can possibly provide. Because once you get into the regular wedges, those are like hitting really fat blades. All right. And then what do you need after that? Sand wedge. I've seen plenty of people do really well with one wedge, and they've figured out how to manipulate it, and that is fine. Some other people, like myself, maybe are not as creative, and I carry a 56 and a 60. Now they've come out with a 64 degree. That seems kind of unique. I'd like to play around with it once or twice just to see what I can make it do. But so you're at a minimum anymore, in my opinion, of 3 wedges and sometimes 4. Jesse, hope's all doing well. Special hello, Jim and Robin. Thank you, sir. Greetings, fellow golfers and Jim and Robin from Myrtle Beach. How you say, John? Is it all right? Getting ready for some cold weather yet again. I don't know if it's going to make it to you guys, but if you can see my netting blowing right here, went from 70-degree weather yesterday to it's right just below 32 degrees, and we've got like I don't know, I wouldn't even call it an accumulation. The grass is frosty, and that's about it. But it is very, 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 very cold. Now, up there where my sister lives in Wisconsin, and above where she's at, right on the state line, I have some friends. We'll say the guy that works with me, his mom and sister up there, and they're already talking 15 inches to 2 foot. So it just depends on where you're at. All righty. Matt says hi to John. There you go. I'm sure your weather is better than us in Ohio. 7 degrees yesterday. Now winter storm watch. That's just, hey, look at that. We just got there. Barry Carroll, what do you say, sir? What's going on? All righty. There's Phil K from Austin. Phil K. Robin's trying to listen to me outside the wall here. Unless Phil, your club got shipped today. I'm sure you already know. All right. Charlie, he got out on Sunday. What was that? About 40 degrees maybe? Managed an 81. Not bad after 2.5 month play. Not good deal. I'll take that. He says hi to us. Well, hello, and hi to Matt. What do we got here? The Athletic Motion Golf guys interviewed the CEO of Golf Gears about gear system and spent a lot of time covering shaft dynamics. Pretty interesting stuff. Well, there you go. Something with Athletic Motion and Gear Sports. Those are both very much looking at kinesiology. And it is very interesting to see how you get joints lined up and things to moving and things like that. And that's right. We're doing it. They're doing it from a digital perspective, where I get to do it from an analog using my eyeballs. All right. Hi, Charlie. Great rounds and happy St. Patrick's Day. There you go. Thank you. There's Lawrence. What do you say, man? Happy St. Patrick's Day to you too. Robin says we'll see you there on Friday. Come early. Yes. Early. And he says, thanks, Matt. There we go. And Robin's saying hello. There's Peter. Hello from Myrtle Beach. Played and won his first tournament of the year. Already on it. Oh, how much did Anna get this time? 76, 77, 72. Dude, people are not going to want to play with you anymore, man, unless they're on your side. Well done. Good job. All right. Matt says his family eats Mexican food on St. Patty's Day and corned beef on Cinco de Mayo. Well, you are up in Cleveland. I guess you can, if you're going out to eat and doing it, you're not getting in a line. My Robin, we will drop Drew off at school and head down, be there around 10:45. All right, get ready to hit the street running, bud. All righty. Mike Delvesco, he got fitted for some ZXIR irons. Real nice. Fitter said Strexon has vastly increased their market share. I've got them. I think they're really nice too. I think they fit a particular type of golfer or the shafts. I just haven't figured out the shaft makeup on some of them. But it is a really nice shaft or a really nice head. Very forgiving, right? Extremely forgiving. So I like that a lot. I would imagine they probably have. They've had, you get a little bit of success on tour. My Golf Spy says they're the greatest feeling club. They don't say anything about the performance though, and they do. They feel great. But they've never walloped anything that I've had in here except for maybe a couple of folks. But it is a good club. It really, really is. All righty. Peter, I bet your wife is happy. How much did it donate to the cause? Yeah, no doubt. That's what I was asking. Great playing, Peter. He's saying, yep. That'd be perfect. Jim will be back from his chiropractor. Good deal. On Tuesday, I'm Macrosito. There you go, man. Everybody's Irish on Irish Day. Good deal. Robin saying hello to Barry. What's up? We got Steven in Tennessee. Hello from Tennessee. Weekend was in the 70s, but high is 36. Tomorrow, the same. At least I got out this weekend for a couple of rounds. 85 both days. Awesome, dude. That's what we want to see. There we go. Charlie's going to show us what kind of a polar bear he is. Played yesterday, 38. There you go. Well, better than 32, man. I think that's a marked difference, don't you? The difference between 32 and 38 is, it's only 6 degrees. Yeah, wait until you stand out in it. It's a little different. There you go. Look at that. Mrs. Robbins right on it. And there you go, saying hello, Charlie. Hello, Robin. John Carter, what do you say? Oh, he's got a Callaway C4 head with a shaft broken in the hosel. Can you repair it? I can. I don't know why I told you that, but I can. That's one of my least favorite clubs to work on. How much? Let me know this. How far up the hosel is it broken, man? And let's go from there. But yeah, I think I can't. Let me look. I don't know. Does that take a special ferrule or not? Can you look up to see if they got C4 adapters? Yeah, it's an old Callaway. It was a 100% carbon club. And see if it takes a special adapter piece to go into the head, that might stop me, and we'll see. Huh? The OptiFit, really? I thought it was a bonded club. Huh? It's a what? So it isn't an adaptive fit. So show me. Because you just said it was an OptiFit, which is an adapter. I don't think it's adjustable. An OptiFit ferrule. Okay. She's looking it up, John, but I think so. The real trick there is to not put too much heat on it or drill the thing out. but yeah, we can. Hello, Lawrence. Dean Walker, what do you say, buddy? Happy St. Patrick's Day from Southwest Ohio. 30 with snow flurries right now. Hope weather warms up soon. They said that by the weekend we might be right back up into the 60s and 70s, so that's a cool idea. There's Herman Ohm saying hello. Hello, dear. Did we miss you last week? I think so. We got her, bud. The spell check's a real turd sometimes. There we go. Robin saying hello to Mike and Steven. There you guys. Are you guys getting high winds like we are? Yeah. If you look at, just take a look in, well, yesterday we got high winds. We got a lot of them. They were averaging, what'd they say, 30 to 40 mile an hour. And it was blowing our doors open as far in the screen door and stuff. Right now it's pretty calm. You just see just a little bit right there behind me. Every once in a while it blows, but yesterday it was pretty spectacular. Yes, but not as bad. It's snow blowing. There we go. I see your curtains on the porch moving about. Yeah, and I mean, it's not calm by any shape of the imagination, but yesterday it was really bad. Yep, and Friday was pretty bad too. Got lots of rain. Yeah, we got that. Yes, all of that was a day or two ago for us, Charlie. There's hello to John. Yes, we're flipping all around. Robin even put our door kept flying open so much that Robin put a cinder block in front of the door to keep it closed. And that was pretty much the only thing did, because I had a 40-pound pole magnet and on our door frame, and I tie wrapped it shut. And somehow, somewhere, the strength of this thing, it had to have broken the tie wrap, because my magnet was still there, the door was there, and I had no tie wrap. It was just weird. He was gone. Attended his golfer friend's 75th birthday party, gave him a birthday card with 7 anytime mulligans. Good for you. Fresh air is good. You bet. There we go. That's nice, Peter. It was nice to sit outside 2 nights in a row. You are correct. It was fun. There we go. There's my buddy Bob. He figured it out, and he's on YouTube. Look at that. Well done, Bob. Bob's jumped over to the Quantum family. We're going to see how that one works out. He did pretty good. We found out what he liked and didn't like. Worked on that one-piece swing. All righty. Thumbs up, please. Thank you, Charlie. If you would, do hit that thumbs up button. Hit the like and subscribe. Let us all know about it. Okay. James Geiger, we say, how often should you get fitted for new clubs or at least new shafts? 58 degrees here in upstate New York, probably 3 to 4 weeks from golf. I am chomping at the bit. Well, I'm not much of a salesman when it comes to that, James. I tell folks that, there are certain changes that people go through, from going from like a young teenager to somebody that's a young 20-year-old. That's a major step, right? That's a major step. Now, from a 20-year-old to a 30-year-old, I wouldn't see that so much. But a 20-year-old to a 40-year-old, maybe, right? And then a 40-year-old to, depending on your circumstances, but maybe a late 50s or early 60s person. And then it starts getting closer after that. In your 60s, maybe 65 to maybe 70, 75, that kind of thing. So because your body your strength changes, right? Unless you're really devout to it and you're working out and you're doing all these things. Now, that being said, also, if you have something that happens medically in your life, like a stroke, a rotator cuff, a hip replacement, a knee replacement, something along those lines, something that's, not catching a cold, right? But like a joint replacement, or the fact you get diagnosed with arthritis, or a pretty serious medical condition that you go through. Okay, because why is that? Because chances are that, we'll call it a fault, that knee, that hip, that elbow, that shoulder, something along that lines, uh, you probably won't go, oh, it hurts, I got to go get it replaced. What you'll be told is the doctor says, hey, get on that thing until you can't stand it anymore. Well, okay, being a tough guy, you get out there and you start golfing and you start making moves to not have as much pain. It's a natural thing. It's not anybody's fault. That's just what you do, because who wants to feel pain all the time? So you make this change. You're like this, you're like this, you're like that, you're like that, you're all these different things. And now all of a sudden you're making all these swing changes based on trying to do that. Well, then all of a sudden you get them fixed. And then when you get them fixed and you're still doing it, but now it doesn't hurt, it just feels natural. Well, it's natural because you've been protecting yourself. Now it's time to get unnatural and get back into the normal way of doing it. And that very well, and that's strength, right? You're going to start using muscles that you haven't used for a while, and you need to be evaluated. Okay, need to be evaluated. Which the best part about that, James, is I had a customer in here. It was 20 years ago, and he was 6'5" to 6'7", thin as a rail, had a neck like a giraffe. And he comes in here, he says, I can't hit a driver. I'm like, okay, why not? And he says, I can only hit it 50 yards. Say what? There's no way. Everybody can hit a driver for 50 yards. He says, nope, not me. I'm like, all right, let me see you swing. He doesn't take the club past basically his back foot and swings to where he basically gets to his front foot. It was like he was putting with it. I'm like, well, now I understand. I said, did you have any surgeries lately? Man, oh man, did that open up a box of worms. He goes, well, yeah. And he says, I had a rotator cuff done. I said, anything else? Oh, yeah. Had a left knee taken care of. Oh, my. Anything else? Oh, yeah. He went through the front of his throat in order to get to melt some spine together. And so I said, so you had a hurt knee, a hurt shoulder, and your back is fused. He goes, yeah. I said, how long ago was this? He says, oh, it's years. I'm fully healed. Really? All right. I said, you trust me? That's the one thing you don't want to hear. You trust me? He says, oh, yeah. So I got him in a stance, and I said, okay. I said, now bring the club back. And I grabbed the club out of nowhere, and I brought it about halfway back, right about here. And you could hear the air sucking into the room from him. He had never moved his muscles past up to this point, right? Fully healed, because that was nature, right? It was natural to him. He was good with that. Not anymore. So I said, okay, now put it down. I said, now take it back. And I grabbed it and I took him the other way with it. And man, oh man, you're up, 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 up. And I said, did it hurt? And he goes, no, I just never done it before. You could hear the muscles stretching. I said, okay, now hit that. Hit that. And so he hits it and he hits it out. Now he's 150 yards out there. I'm like, well, look at that, 100-yard improvement already, and we haven't done the first thing. He goes, okay. I said, do it again. Let's see, get back in there. And I grabbed him again. I took him all the way back. And he's like, wahoo. I said, did it hurt? He goes, nope. And I took him all the way over here. And I said, okay, let's go there. And he goes, all right. I said, now swing. And of course, he's very ginger about it. He's not swinging full force. He's got, it appears that he's putting about 60 to 70% into it. Pow, hits one out there, 2.25. I said, there you go, bud. He goes, what? And I said, well, if I wanted to say, I use him as a poster child all the time. He says, what's the best improvement you ever seen? I said, I get a guy almost 200 yards. And then you got to explain why. But so that's the reason. So that would be one of those reasons why you go get fit. All right. Hi, Bob and Penny. There we go. Thank you, Charlie. James 58, it's time to go play. For you it is. Man, that's like put your be like Kent throwing those winter shorts and go get after it. But yeah, we're there. If it gets to 58, that'll be pleasant. Bob saying hi to Matt. Bob saying hi to Peter. Steve Bird. Hi from England. What do you say? Hope you're both well. I'm looking to change my putter. I'm torn between a new Scotty and a Lab. Can you give me opinions, please? Ooh, okay. I'm thinking through this, Steve, is to make sure that I'm not putting any of my own bias in it. So what you're asking for, Steve, those are two significantly different types of putters. Okay. Scotty, is a forged club with some milling in it and is very, very soft and is stereotypically one of your Anser style, your Fang putter style, the traditional mallet style. Every once in a while, he'll throw a center shafted in there. Pardon me. And that X club that he's got, I don't think I've seen a zero torque from him just yet. So that's the reason why I say this, is that most of his clubs are either going to be face balanced or they're going to be toe hang of some variety. Okay. So if you have an arcing putt, an arc putt, you can really, really do well with it. However, it can be streaky. Okay. Now, Lab is a different animal altogether. Lab stands for Langle balance, meaning that the putter stays like that. Now, if the putter stays like that, it does better with straight back, straight forward, or some semblance thereof. Okay. Can it work with the other one? It can. It can. Bob, who is on here, had a heel-mounted cruiser and really depended on the arc. I handed him on this one, and he was drilling it. Okay, absolutely drilling it, and making putts from 3 foot, 6 foot, 10 foot, all kinds of places. And I was watching, and what was happening was, because of the balance of the putter, he wasn't arcing it as much. And he turned around and said to me, he says, "It feels like it controls itself. You just have to go through and you have to putt it." And certainly it was. Okay. So if you're into that style and you want it, and they are easy to putt, my preference is the Lab. Okay. If you're looking from a feel standpoint, I think the Scotty would deliver a little bit more feel. Okay. And that's where they go. But in both cases, you still need the right line angle, you still need the right loft, and you still need the right length. And then get a grip that you like, and that will be there. And then you'll be more confident on your putting. Hopefully that helped you out. What are your thoughts on single length irons? Okay. Eggery Peck. All right. That's a good one. I think it has its place. Okay. I am not against it whatsoever. It will fit certain people. And what do I mean by that? A traditional golfer, one that's been brought up, so you got to play certain ways, do certain things, that kind of thing, probably will not like it. It will look at it and go, "Yeah, that's kind of a cool idea," and get intrigued by it. But when it's all said and done, if you bought them, you would get rid of them in a couple of weeks, just because all those other ideas would be floating around in your head instead of a traditional. In there, look at that. Instead of just swinging and hitting the club. Okay. The philosophy is good. The physics is good. What you'll see here, a lot of people talk about, is that they hit their pitching wedge way, 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 way far, and they hit their 5-iron way, 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 way short. And maybe, right? Maybe. But in some cases, just case in point, the first 6 sets I built, all the guys came back and reported dropping at least 3 to 4 strokes on a side. So that was allowed them a level of consistency that they've never seen before. Now, did they keep it after a while? I have no idea. But that's where they came from. Now, I also do a test when people ask me about single length irons. The single length irons, I have a 6 and I have a 9 iron, and I have you hit them both, and I don't tell you which one's which. And if you can't give me a dispersion that's 25 yards or better, then chances are you're not going to enjoy it. And that's my test. Now, when you get into hybrids and you get into woods, when we say single length, it's not single length all the way across. Single length in the irons, maybe in the hybrid, and then the woods are at another single length going across. And it's something shorter, say 42 inches maybe, and it goes across that way. Okay. So they're not all the same. But yeah, they have their place. The quality of the irons, I say, could stand up to others. The woods, I don't know if they've caught up just yet. Matt says hello to Bob. Robin saying hi to Steve. Everybody's saying hello. There we go. Floyd Hammett, what do you say, bud? Rain in Florida, made it home in time to watch. Well, thank you. All righty. Agri Peck says hitting off Max Rex clubs twice as fast. I would not. Traditional, I would agree. If they're traditional driving range mats where they're, about yay thick, then yes, I would agree completely. And I hate those things because of 2 reasons. One is they give you false positives. You go there, oh, I was drawing it on the range all day. How come I'm not doing it today? It's because you were bouncing into this mat and it was closing you up, and that's a false positive. The other one is because you're hitting into that mat repeatedly, it gives joint pain, right? I can't tell you how many people that I've seen that on. And that's the reason why when we hit off of our mat, it has give like that much, and nobody has ever said anything about that. Good point. Yep, he's right. We got here, Peter says, hello, Bob. Hope you and Penny are doing well. Looking forward to your next visit here in Myrtle Beach. There we go. My dog Rex. All right. We grew up working on a golf course in Tiffin, Ohio, and built a 100-mile-an-hour car. Push for Ohio governor. There we go. We were just talking about that at work today. Not the 100-mile-an-hour car, but Bush or Cattell or whatever his name is. There's hello. Penny says, hello, Agnes. There we go. Floyd Hamnet says, my 64 wedge stays at home. I tend to blade under the ball. Yeah, there's, and that can be true of the 60. I've seen a lot of people, again, when we talk golf as a game of opposites, what do? Well, in order to make the ball go up, you got to hit down. If you wanted to hit up, or if you want to hit it lower, you kind of hit up on it, right? Oh, here we go. I'm waving my hand in there we go. Anyway, so you got to, the biggest problem, two things, the death of a wedge swing. Number one is stopping, right? Decelerating and going through it. And the other one is trying to make assisting the wedge to try and make it go up higher. Those 2 things, man, that difficulty level increase at that point. All right. The day's calling for cold weather tonight, tomorrow in the 30s. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all. There you go. Robin saying hello back to Penny, i.e. Gladys. Sean Nicholas got fit for some M13s last week. Looking forward to playing them. Aha. 13s are nice, right? They're really nice. I like them a lot. Krister's on. Hello from a warmer Sweden. Course is starting to open up in the southern part of Sweden. There you go. Nicely done. Get time to see whether or not we're doing a major gear shift here on you. And when I mean gear shift, not as a car, but gear shift is in clubs. There you go. I'm saying hello to Sean and Krister. And Krister again. Yep, here we go. Past Saturday had a follow-up fitting with the Golf Store, 2 hours of testing, different settings with the Cobra and the King Mini driver. Ended up getting G3 settings for both drivers. I mean, -2. Okay. Depending on what loft you started at. All right. Denali Frost 60S in both drivers. Now, wait a minute. I thought you didn't like this one. Or I thought you didn't like am I missing it? The Denali, but did you need something a little more beefy? Oh, wait, here we go. The blue. Okay. The blue's a little more beefy. Are you slowing down in your old age, Krister? Normally that would be an X Flex of 70 grams. But if it's working, hey, have at it. I haven't seen you testing any of the beers lately. Have you? Do they not serve it when it's all cold outside? Oh, Peter says Anna's up 500 and he's down 500. Something wrong with this arrangement. That's pretty good. We'll call that a gate fee, Peter. Gate to go out and go play some more. All right, Krister, did you purchase any of them or both of them? I thought he already had the Cobra. Everyone needs to check out Pars and Fours and hit that like and subscribe and share if you desire. Oh, thanks, Floyd. I appreciate it. We did do a St. Patty's Day thing, which goes with that one. All righty. Says thank you, Floyd. Here we go. Lawrence, what do you say? Was plus 10 through 9 with a quadruple bogey blowout hole. Shaking off winter rust is going to take longer than I thought. It'll come back faster than you think, dude. But as we say, it's the short game. It's the last thing to show up and the first thing to leave. Get a little bit of touch, that thing goes down and it'll just drop out of the bottom. You'll be happy with it. All right. Krister's saying, haven't decided yet. Both the drivers will be in the bag for sure. I had 4 to 5 shots that rolled 328. Wahoo, dude. Nicely done.
Hey, Devin, that's a YouTube guy.
Yeah.
Follows us. I had a question that he had sent an email for that you missed.
Okay.
Says, have you ever adjusted the Lofton Live ping irons? My past experience have always sent them back to ping. Since I recently started my own shop, I'm curious if you can bend I-240s with a standard bending machine, or would you still recommend sending them back?
Okay. So if you don't know if you heard that or not, Robin was reading we got a question from the internet. And can you bend ping putter or ping irons? The answer is yeah, you can. But it is a ginormous pain in the butt. And in most cases now, we got to be very specific again. So if we have like I2s, the 420s, those kinds of things, you have to it's going to take some effort. Okay. They take a lot of effort. And the most, I wouldn't go, if somebody says, hey, I need 3 up, you're not going to get there. When they talk about 1.5 degrees for cast clubs, that is literally the max. Okay, the max, and you still may not be able to get it with some of the older ping clubs. Those things were made to take a beating. Now, they also had the Anzers, which were their forge clubs, all day. Bend that stuff all day. Some of their other more players-like clubs are a little softer. Get away with that. But when you're talking their cast club units, you have to be very, very careful on what people are asking. So number one, they get the I broke it, you bought it policy. All right, because these things are so hard. In order to get them to bend, you have to do some pretty fantastical stuff. Even Ping hits them with a hammer. Okay. Number two is that you don't guarantee you're going to get the loft and the lies out of it, because you may only be able to bend it a half a degree to a degree, because these things are so hard. All right. And third one is, don't get so overzealous that you just got to throw all your weight into it. Otherwise, you're asking for snapping a club. Take your time, push into it, and no, you don't need to heat it. Okay. Says Lawrence, at least you're out there playing. It's truly been a while. I hear you, man. Krister, that's nice. Be ready for tournaments hitting it that far. No kidding. 3 1/4. Man, that's pretty damn good. Alan Zwicker, what do you say? I was reshafting a T200 4-iron. All right. The shaft I put into it had a bit of a waggle to it. Thought it might need a shim, so I installed a 355 shim and it was tight. Better to use just some beads instead. All right. So, utility iron. Yeah, the 355 shim, particularly if you're using a 355 shaft, is probably a little too much. And this is one of those things where the centering ferrule comes into play. I wouldn't use a whole bunch of extra. Okay, I just wouldn't use a whole bunch of extra. But what I would do is I would make sure you're using an original ferrule and watch it, and that will hold it in place. All right, that's the idea of the centering ferrule. And Titleist ferrules are pretty stout, which leads me to believe that could be one of them. But pardon me, I'm just wondering. The other case you could do, Alan, is if you have the capability of measuring to make sure that it's the right hosel, right? Make sure it's not a 370, and because if you put a 355 into it, it'd probably be there. And if it's tight, another way to get around that, Alan, is if you're using the that shim that looks like that, a brass shim that looks like a bunch of fingers, cut a couple fingers off. Right? Cut a couple of the fingers off. Try that. All righty. Hope so. Hope so. Here we go. Mr. Moose Man. Hello, brother. I need to know what to spend my money on. A 1x42 sander. Been looking at the Mitchell. Please help me. If you're looking at a belt sander, a 1x42 is my preference. Okay, it is definitely my preference. The Mitchell, I believe, is the Kalamazoo, and the Golfworks one comes from Golf Mechanics. From a standpoint of buy one and only buy one, I don't know if you're going to see a huge difference, but I would stay with Kalamazoo. Kalamazoo is a very, very reliable motor, and the gear that they have is replaceable. The adjustable piece at the top, in order to use it. 99 times out of 100, I would tell you to pick out the Golfworks one, only because I am really big on being efficient with the footprint. So if it was only doing one thing and one thing only, it would be inefficient to me, because those motors can come what they call double arbor, meaning that there's a shaft sticking out both sides. And then that way you can put something on the other side and then really get use out of your footprint, of which Golfworks does. They got a 1x42 that you can either put a cutter on or a sander flapper wheel on or whatever, and then you get double usage. And if you're working in a small space, then hands down, it's the Golfworks machine. If you're high volume and that's all you're doing with it, then I would go with Mitchell. All right. I believe the Mitchell's probably going to be a little bit more expensive, but again, Kalamazoo is a very, very, very good motor, right? I've got them. I got mine from GolfWorks, and I've been using them for 20 years. Okay, and so that's how good they are. So just it depends on what you're looking to get done, but 1x42 for sure. If you want a lot to get done with it, i.e., more efficiency, then it's GolfWorks. If you're looking something that's going to stay with you forever, then it's Mitchell. Hitting that far, you only need 3 clubs in your bag: driver, wedge, and a putter. No doubt. All right. Ford says, in an industry of secrets, thanks for the unfiltered knowledge. Everyone in the chit chat, the like button, like and hit that ball left, right, middle smash factor button. Thanks, Floyd. I appreciate it. Yeah, after a few years, you get to separate the wheat from the chaff. Is that what they say? Okay. Robin saying hello. Mr. Mooseman saying hello back. Krister saying, as long as I hit the fairways every time. That's a real possibility. Good one, dude. 100 mile per gallon car. Oh. Nice. Do you build custom clubs? And if so, what brand do you use? I do build custom clubs. That set that you saw at the beginning. So I don't want to sound pretentious here. So when I first started, let's put it this way, when I first started and we were just getting started in the industry, there were a lot of other companies that were available, and they were doing just as good as some of the other ones. And we had the likes of we did KZG, we did with Sean, and we tried to we kind of dealt off and on with Mura. What was another one? Every once in a while, Alpha or Bang would get in there, and you guys said, "Well, why not GolfWorks?" Well, GolfWorks made a quality component, but they're literally an hour and some change that way, and I didn't want to be in direct competition with them. That's the only reason why I didn't get anything from them. Oh, and Dynacraft, that was the other one, Dynacraft. And what I was specific on was a lot of people go, "Oh, those are copycat clubs." No, they're not. They were not forges, or what they would call them, clones. Yeah, they're not clones. Where they look alike. I called them OEDs, and there was original equipment design where they would take a likeness, but they weren't anything like the other club. And we start. Yep. Oh, and Infinity in Chicago. That was another one. Those are really cool. That was the one club from a cast club. I literally bent 11 degrees. That was something else. And that's how we got started. So we had a variety. And what we would do is we would take our shafts that we had, were aftermarket shafts, and we'd put them together in the same fitting system that I'm using now, or similar. And I would put them up against their OEM clubs. What? Oh, here's another one for you guys over on the other side of the pond. Orca. We were one of the few U.S.-based Orca dealers, and this guy just brought his in for regripping. He's still using them. And then in that same set, the Wishon, the 959. What's the shaft? Oh my gosh! Look at here, Excalibur. We were using Robin's shaft for a long, long time. And you can tell they were mine because I used to put shaft markers on them. There's the McGolf Custom Clubs. I forgot all about those. However, after a while, those companies started drying up, and for no other reason that I don't know if the profit margin was there. People like me started getting smaller, and then all of a sudden, OEMs started breaking loose of components. You could almost never get them, and then all of a sudden, the they saw it as another potential market for sales, right? But you had to be a certain person in order to get it.
The last left-handed set, or last infinity set.
Oh my gosh! So if you guys are interested in some old clubs, Krister, here you go. This is left-handed. That's an infinity. This is a Forgeman. Look how small that thing is, right? And that's an 8-iron. This thing was a small little bitty club, made for a guy that could find the middle, what little bit there was there. And so the OEMs came along and started offering them to certain individuals. I was not one of them. And it became a status symbol to be able to build OEMs to a custom length or to a custom build. And so I started pursuing that. And lo and behold, my very first account was Srixon. I've got one of the oldest numbers in Srixon's company. And then all of a sudden it was McGregor, and then McGregor went out of business. And then we tried with Callaway, but I didn't like the program, so we didn't do that. But we picked them up, we brought them on into the store because their fittings, they allowed me to do fittings and whatnot.
And you still have the same Callaway
Yeah.
account,
Yep, and a Callaway account that starts with a 5. And then all of a sudden that turns into a Wilson account, and the last one of them all was the hardest of them all because they're quite picky. Was Mizuno, and I'm one of 19 of the country that can do that, and 20 now. And I've had TaylorMade approach me now because of that, and so yeah, I can probably be. And again, I've been doing this a while, but there are certain things you got to abide by when you do this. There's insurances you have to buy. There's places you have to have. Certain amounts you have to commit to, and so it's not just let me call up and order these clubs and they'll sell them to me. It doesn't work like that. So, but that's what it is. So for me right now, Egeripek, it is, I have Mizuno, Srixon, Wilson, and Callaway. Callaway's a little different, but still in a custom format. Look at that. She's right on the money. Okay, any good clone golf clubs? No, I don't recommend any clone companies. Clone companies are the enemy. However, Diamond Tour, there's the company that's in England, I believe, is called Diamond. It's either Diamond Tour or Diamond Golf, but they're in England. They took over for Wishon. Their stuff is good, but they got the Wishon brand, so I would go out with the Wishon brand easily. All right, they've got a lot of different styles of golfers covered all day, right? All day. And some of them are really nice, including single lengths, as a matter of fact. And to the point, Matt that's on here is hitting the Wishon driver and the hybrids because he kills them. So, it just goes to show you it doesn't have to be anybody. But if I was to give you recommend at least one company, it would be Wishon right now. The second would be GolfWorks. Okay. I can do that because I'm not dealing with them. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. 7 and 11 and a half. Okay. 11 and a half. They only had a mini driver at 13 and a half degrees. That seems kind of odd, but all right. Yep, it was all short game, too many 3 putts, not making it on the green. Yep. Within a couple of weeks, dude, that'll be gone. You'll be telling us all these scores of, so right at the high 70s, low 80s any day. All right. Krister says, yeah, I'm getting old, need a lighter shaft with less stiffness, but it's the shaft's profile. Yes, there it is, right? That's what we were just talking about. The blue is the more stout of that whole entire line, right? You had the black and you had the colors, but the blue that's that stuff that where the level you're playing at is at. Okay. What is this? I have an old brass ding A-ling putter. Ding-a-ling. Oh, ding-a-ling. Ding-a-ling. Oh my God. I can't believe I said that. A ding-a-ling putter. Would like to adjust the lie, but I'm a little scared. Would assume brass should bend easily. Love my putter. It's like a loud tuning fork. Yeah, the brass should be fine. The what most people get worried about is actually marring the if it's got a hosel, is marring the hosel. So if you're going to bend it and you have a fixed jaw, get yourself just a little sheet of copper and wrap it around there, and then bend it, and that will take the dent. We'll go from there. Mark Ranson, what do you say, buddy? Our buddy from Pennsylvania. Knew some guys with some great KZG irons around 20 years ago. Yeah, back in the day, we got started with them back in the day, and they had one incredible lineup of irons, a handful of drivers. I mean, they were into it neck deep, and out of nowhere, they started making demands on us of how we had to sell this, we had to sell that, and basically a little bit too big for their own britches. And I don't even know if they're still in business. I would imagine they are. But some of their wedges were really, really good. They even made a milled putter that was worth having. But we just, we're into business to having friends and family within the business with us. And if you're not part of that, then we just basically don't have you anymore. All righty, Jim, what's my complete setup? If you're talking for this guy right back here, right now I have the lab putter. That's in that guy right there. I have two J grind Callaway wedges, a 56 and a 60. I have the Apex 300 irons, 5 through the gap wedge, but I typically take the 5 out. And I have the DG mid 90s and stiff in them. And then after that, I have you can see them, the Paradigms right here, the Paradigm 3, 4, and 5, and for me. And then I have a mini driver and I have a regular driver. And the regular driver has been nothing more than a placeholder for almost a year. But the swing's coming back. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on. I fully suspect that I haven't tested the the hybrids just yet, but from what I've seen other people hit so far, we're going to have to go head to head and just see what's going on, because that hybrid looks pretty good. And there's two of them now. There's the Max and the Max OS. And the Max is a smaller head, much like akin to the Rogue Pro. Very small. I called it a burnt Twinkie on a stick, and the other one's more forgiving. We'll see which one I gravitate towards. Itchy. Used to have an Excalibur Pro TSL 5, Tour Stiff, and Avalon. Yeah, the 5 is the 50 gram, and the TS is the Tour Stiff. And Robin his name is Robin Arthur. And the dude, when it come to doing the shaft, he was a NASA graphite engineer, absolutely brilliant. But it was hard to find him sometimes. And but he makes a mean golf shaft, I can tell you that. Pro Light, if you guys remember the Pro Light and the Pro Light Reds and that kind of stuff, that's his design. Oh, here we go, John Lamb. La Fée Le Parig. Sona do it. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Well, thank you. Here we go. I want to see the pronunciation. Here we go. La E Lupad Resol Nagit. Man, I'm never going to get that one. Not tonight. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you guys, too. All righty. And Mark, we missed you the last time. Yep. Any blizzards down there from the sister? Nope. We it's snowing right now, and it's coming straight down. Man, it's like winter conditions. The snow, the ground is still frosty. if I was to give you an accumulation, 1/4 of an inch, maybe. But it keeps up like this, it might get an inch. It'll freak everybody out. Oh, there's another one, John Lamb. Nakashima, yes. Nakashima. That's a pretty good club. We dealt with them too. I forgot all about them. They showed up onto the scene at the very end, and they were aiming at that boutique brand. They were within those types of clubs. There was stuff for the average golfer that maybe wanted to dabble in building their own golf clubs. That was the Golf Works. That was the Dynacraft. That was Golf Works and Dynacraft. Oh, and we also were part of Toski. We were one of the Toski people too. We were one of the original Toski people. Yep, and there's a good club at a lower cost, at a lower price point. And then you had the better than average, which the KZGs, the Washans, that kind of stuff, and they were just slightly higher. They weren't really that bad, but man, they were really nice. And then you went into boutique stuff like Muras, right? Muras, sometimes Alphas, and then Nakashimas were in there. They were really big because of the fact that they very high in their quality, very high in their. If they said it weighed 229, it weighed 229 on the dot. They were real big with that. And the quality is really good. All right. John Lamb says they played King Snakes, Cobra Copy for quite a while. They were kind of good. Yeah, they're King Snakes. That's what we're talking about, the clones, right? King Snakes, Big Bursa, right? Pong, or whatever you could get out of the eyes. There's something along that lines, The Callaway had one too. That was it was a Galloway, right? It started with a G instead of a C. Yeah, it was really close. Now those were lookalikes, right? The clones. Now, to get off on a tangent before we sign off here, the clones or I don't want to say clones. What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, maybe that clones that where they both say TaylorMade on them, right? And they're just absolutely junk clubs that you got the regular TaylorMades going down this line, and the copy, the I'm going to come up with the name. No, what's the real name? It's a whole industry within the golf where they have these they're clones. What's another word for it? Anyway, they're direct. They look almost exactly like the original, okay? But they're made with substandard parts, substandard metals, substandard designs, all within. But they are painted, and you wouldn't be able to really take a look at it on the head unless you had the original, because the fonts are just off just ever so slightly. The colors of the paints are off ever so slightly, and they perform like crap. Now, how do you know you're getting one of those? Price. Comes right down to price. If somebody approaches you and they say, huh? Nope. Counterfeit. That's the word I'm looking for. Counterfeit. Counterfeit clubs. If somebody walks up and they said, I got a set of Ping 420s, and that's the latest number, and it only cost you $200, turn around and walk away. Right? Chances are they're counterfeits, and they will not perform anywhere close. Now, what John's talking about, King Snakes, that's the next level. All right. They were very much alike. They had the same logoing and stuff, but there was always a few things that were different on purpose to set them apart so they wouldn't get in trouble. I wasn't much of a fan of those either. It was the next level that had a similar shape, but had their own logo. They had their own name, but they looked like the Dynacraft did a really good job one year, and they had one that looked like it had the shape of a ping with that oval that was in the middle where they put all their swing weighting and stuff into. They had big Dynacraft across the back of it, and it had the serial number of what it was. They made no bones about that it looked like it, but it wasn't it. And that was what we called OEDs, original equipment designs. All right, and above. And then you took it another step further, like the Washans, the Golf Works, the Nakashimas or whatever, and they had their own designs. They just weren't OEM level. Okay. And that's what that was. You knew when you were into those that you were just really hitting your stride in the way of custom building. And then you've reached the pinnacle. I'm going to adjust my thing here. There we go. You reach the pinnacle when you're allowed to build OEMs. So there we go. Yep, counterfeit. Yep, counterfeit. That's it. Those things suck so bad. And the funny part is they're in grips, they're in shafts, they're in heads. We've come across at least 2 sets of these grips, the counterfeit grips, and I'm like, where'd you get them? Oh, I got a really good deal. They're counterfeit. Don't care. All right. It's on you. If they start wearing out, it's on you. And I'll get in arguments with people. They say, well, I put those in and those things have lasted me forever. Uh-huh. Let me get down to the real technical part of it and let's find out. All right. Mark wants to know, do you use a high-tech golf ball? If you call a Wilson Staff or a Callaway Chrome Tour high-tech, then I guess yes. Outside of that, no, I don't get too. I like the golf balls that work. Okay. I love to hit a Chrome Soft, but I just spin it too much. So the Chrome Tour does that, and so does the Wilson Staff. There you go. Eggery says he hits a 7-iron comfortably 160, and if I step on at 180, I kind of have a punch shot stack and tilt play with Sean C111 stiffs with want a higher ball flight. Any suggestions? If you want to hit something higher, okay, everybody goes, oh, I get this shaft that makes it hit higher. That's one thing and one thing only. And they'll say they have these high launch shafts, and they're built on a premise of a particular swing, and it's not stack and tilt. Okay. Will you get much out of a softer type shaft to give you higher flight? Will it give you a little higher flight? Yeah, it'll give you a little higher flight. Is it the kind you're looking for? I just don't know. But it'll feel softer, right? It'll feel softer. And for that stack and tilt, where you're leaning into it and then you come into it like that, you're really hooding the ball quite a bit. And it just depends on the head that you're playing. If it's an older head, then what you probably want to, it's really kind of funny. If you really want to go to a newer model, because what's happened is the center of gravity goes down. Okay. They're really pushing the envelope on pushing the center of gravity down, even with more loft or least lofted, stronger lofted irons. So if you took, let's just say, playing with Sean Club, he really hasn't embraced a really stronger loft. Okay. So if you were to go with something newer design, that center of gravity be really, really low, and you hit down on it and it would want to pop up. All right. Even with the way that you're hitting it, and go from there. Those were fucking VAS. So we were talking about that the other day, those types of clubs. Oh my God. It looks like somebody was having an LSD trip when they decided those. It was something else. I purchased King Snakes overseas gray market clone instead of shipping mine. There you go. Okay. All right. We almost made it to an hour and a half. We're going to call it today. What? Oh, give me a break. All right. So again, guys, number one, happy St. Patrick's Day. All right. Go out there, celebrate to your heart's content, but be safe. Right. Remember, everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day. So welcome aboard, brothers. Have a day.
Or you need a driver.
No, you don't.
You need a driver. driver.
And Bob's the driver. Look here, paving. Won the U.S. Open. They were still ugly. Uh, anyway, from that one, and don't forget that, not there's a. I would love to tell you that you can fix everything with a properly fitted golf club. I would love to be able to tell you that, but I can't. All right, there's a combination between a properly fitted golf club and a proper swing, right? If it don't have to be perfect. Golf is not a game of perfect. It's a game of how you get yourself around the golf course. And if I could remember that, I would probably play a lot better too. But as Bob can contest, I am not that guy. However, but there's 100 different swings. If you watch the tournament this weekend, the guy that won has a bit of a hitch at the top, and he hits the crap out of it. The guy right next to him doesn't, and he hit the crap out of it. So and each one of those guys need a little something different to get them where they want to go. So if you decide to go get fit, at least talk it through with your fitter. Talk about some swing issues or things that you can work on, so you can straighten some of that stuff out. Because the idea here, guys and gals, is to enjoy golf, right? Beat your last score, whatever it takes, but the end result is enjoying golf. I know Bob's going to make me pay for that one later because we're going on a trip soon. But that is truly the essence of it. And again, oh, here we go. Unshankable. Yep, you're right. Yellow hot dog. Oh my God, those things were awful. All righty. And again, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Happy St. Patrick's Day of all this green I've got. I've been thinking Thanksgiving for some reason. Anyway, happy Irish Day. Get fit, enjoy golf, and as always, as I get to my stuff, let's see your scores. Go low.